Every morning, Joseph Venden walks to the barn to milk the cows. Though he was hurt in an accident as a child, he works hard to support his sick and elderly mother. After finishing his barn duties, he goes to the local school, where he teaches. One day, while announcing that the school would be closed soon, a new student walks in and interrupts him. Curious, Joseph asks for her name. She replies that she is Catherine Wheeler, a senior. Joseph smiles, welcomes her to the class, and begins the history lesson. That evening, Joseph visits Rosalie Henson to plan school assignments for their students. While they work, Joseph brings up the news about the school possibly closing soon. Since this could affect their jobs, Rosalie shares her plan to accept a temporary teaching position elsewhere. She also hints that she's ready to build a life with Joseph, but he doesn't feel the same way. Worried about what's ahead, especially losing his job, Joseph avoids the topic. He uses his mother's poor health as a reason to leave early. A few days later, a retired U.S. Army officer, Nathan Wheeler, and his daughter Catherine come to Joseph's farmhouse. They ask if Catherine's horse Bolo can stay in Joseph's barn. Nathan offers to pay $175 each month, and Joseph agrees. Happy with the response, Catherine rushes off to bring Bolo. As she takes care of the horse, Nathan writes a check and thanks Joseph for his help. After talking things over, Nathan tells Catherine it's time to go, but Joseph offers to drive her home so she can stay with Bolo a little longer. Nathan appreciates the offer and reminds Catherine to be on her best behavior before he leaves. As Joseph drives her home, they start chatting. Catherine asks what he plans to do next year. Joseph replies that he isn't sure yet. She then asks what he's good at. Joseph looks confused by the question. Catherine explains that everyone has something they do well and says she thinks he's good at both teaching and farming. Joseph disagrees, calling himself an average teacher and a poor farmer. Still, Catherine doesn't believe him. She playfully says she'll figure out what he's really good at herself. The next day, after returning from a hunting trip, Joseph arrives home and sees Dr. Evans with his mother. He thanks the doctor for picking up her medicine from town. While Joseph puts away the game he hunted, the doctor shares that the Wheelers now own the town pharmacy. When the doctor begins to explain who they are, Joseph interrupts, saying he already knows them. Dr. Evans is a bit surprised, but he uses the moment to share some thoughts about the Wheelers, especially Catherine. He says she's not like most girls and mentions that her mother struggles with alcohol. Nathan, her father, is trying to help her recover. Joseph isn't interested in talking about their personal matters, so he gently changes the topic. Afterward, Joseph walks the doctor to his car. They talk more seriously about his mother's health. Dr. Evans explains that her condition is getting worse, and she doesn't have much time left. He also says the pain will grow stronger. Though the news is heavy, Joseph accepts it. His mother doesn't want treatment since the hospital is far away, and Joseph respects her choice. The next day, after finishing work at school, Joseph drives home to see if Catherine came to visit Bolo. He checks the barn and calls out her name, but there's no reply. Thinking she might be in the hayloft, he climbs the stairs. As expected, Catherine is there, lying quietly on the hay. Joseph asks why she didn't answer him. With a playful smile, she says he already knew where she'd be. Joseph laughs, gives in to her clever answer, and joins her in the loft. Her gaze makes him uneasy, and he shifts in place, unsure of how to respond. Catherine then asks if many people come up to the loft. Joseph says no, it's usually quiet up there. Hearing this, Catherine begins acting more boldly, trying to get his attention in a different way. Caught off guard, Joseph quickly leaves the barn, unsettled by the sudden change in mood. Outside, he sees his mother from a distance. Her weak and tired state reminds him of how little has changed in his life. After a moment of thought, Joseph returns to the barn and allows himself to be drawn back into the situation. A few days later, Joseph receives news from the school board. He's not allowed to teach at the new school opening in the next town because they believe he doesn't have the needed qualifications. Although Joseph and Rosalie try to explain and give reasons, the board stands firm in their decision. Even though the result is disappointing, Joseph holds his head high, knowing he gave his best to the school and its students. That night, Joseph and Rosalie lie in bed together. She brings up the idea of marriage, hoping he will finally propose. Instead, Joseph tells her that all he wants is to make her happy. Rosalie agrees that he does, but Joseph asks if he makes her happier than her late husband, Oren. Uncomfortable with the question, Rosalie clicks her tongue and quietly leaves the room, unwilling to revisit old memories. The next morning, Dr. Evans stops by the barn and asks Joseph to step outside. Once they're outside, the doctor hands Joseph a hunting kit. Though Joseph still feels young enough to hunt, he's surprised and touched by the gift. He gives Dr. Evans a quick hug, then happily gets in his car and heads to the forest. That evening, Joseph plays the piano in the living room. Hearing the music, his mother comes in. He smiles at her and keeps playing. While playing, he asks how she's feeling. She says she's unwell, but when Joseph offers to call Dr. Evans, she says no. Instead of talking about her illness, she brings up Rosalie. She tells Joseph he should marry her. When Joseph hesitates, she insists and advises him to sell the land and move to Rosalie's farm if he's worried about money. Later, during class, Joseph waits for his students to finish their assignments. Catherine quietly hands in her paper. While checking it, Joseph notices a note she left, asking to meet him later. On the drive home, Joseph scolds Catherine for writing something so personal on a school paper, warning her to be more careful. Catherine asks Joseph to meet her, but she doesn't say why. This makes him uneasy. Trying to guess, Joseph nervously asks if she's pregnant. Catherine says no and reminds him she always uses protection. Even so, Joseph isn't convinced. He asks if she used it the first time they were together. She says yes, and when he asks if she planned it, she smiles playfully and says she had a feeling it would happen. Joseph, still unsure, tries to bring the conversation back. He wants to know why she really called him. Suddenly, Catherine's expression changes. She tells him she's pregnant, but she didn't want to say it. She repeats it quietly, as if it's still sinking in. Joseph is stunned. He pulls the car over and gets out without a word. Catherine follows and asks what they're going to do. When he stays silent, she bursts out laughing and admits she was only joking. Joseph looks at her but stays still. Catherine urges him to return, but he refuses. She charms him, and finally, he gives in, unable to stay mad. At sunrise, loud knocking wakes Joseph. He opens the door to find Nathan, who invites him bird hunting. At the hunting spot, Nathan blows a duck whistle, surprising Joseph. Nathan tells him to relax. Joseph asks if Nathan saw a coyote. Nathan says no, it was a wolf, and he plans to handle it, calling wolves dangerous. Joseph feels uneasy, sensing a hidden meaning. Ducks arrive, and Nathan focuses on hunting. Later, Catherine visits Joseph's barn with bourbon. He thanks her but says he can't drink yet. He asks if she wants to see her horse, but she declines and hints at something else. Joseph changes the subject, asking about her mother. Catherine was surprised but shared her pain about her mother's drinking and vowed not to be like her. She quickly tried to forget and turned back to Joseph. They shared a quiet moment and fell asleep, unaware Dr. Evans was nearby. The doctor woke Joseph, looking disappointed. Catherine hid her face in Joseph's side while he woke confused. Joseph called to the doctor, but he didn't respond. Later, Joseph met the doctor at a pub, hoping to talk calmly. The doctor asked about Joseph's relationship with Catherine. Joseph admitted it began 4 months ago, first Catherine's idea, then his own. The doctor was surprised since Rosalie seemed happy and warned the secret wouldn't last. Joseph smiled, saying he'd keep it because it made him feel alive. The doctor moved on but didn't agree because of their age gap. At the school party, Joseph saw Catherine with Rosalie's son, Robert. He greeted them and waited for Rosalie. When Rosalie arrived, she said Catherine and Robert had been spending time together. Joseph stayed calm, hiding his connection to Catherine. Catherine joined them, praised Rosalie for raising Robert, but said Robert was upset about Rosalie's relationship with Joseph. She teased Joseph quietly, but he told her to stop. She apologized and left. After the party, Joseph drove Rosalie home. She said she liked Catherine's energy and that Catherine made Robert happier. A few days later, Joseph's mother died, and the whole town attended her funeral. Afterward, Rosalie read sympathy cards and found one that made her leave quickly. She gave Joseph the letter, revealing she knew his secret. Hurt, Rosalie told Joseph how much he had hurt her. He said she was better than Catherine. Angry, Rosalie hit him, and he fell. She then left him. Later, Catherine visited Joseph. He told her Rosalie found out about them. Instead of comforting him, Catherine was happy because she wanted to marry Joseph. Joseph pulled away, saying he would never marry anyone. Catherine left Joseph on the cold floor and went upstairs. Joseph followed her to his room. Catherine tried to get close, but Joseph said Rosalie mattered more and wanted to end things with her. Angry, Catherine warned he'd regret it and left. Joseph noticed a broken picture of the ocean, reminding him of a dream he shared with Rosalie. He visited Rosalie, saying he didn't want to marry her because he didn't want to live in Oren's shadow. Hurt, Rosalie asked why she had sacrificed so much for someone who didn't appreciate her and told him to leave. Joseph stayed and lay on her sofa. The next morning, Joseph saw Robert still in class. He tried to talk, but Robert was silent. To connect, Joseph said Robert could ask anything, and Robert asked about his father, Oren. Joseph told Robert he admired Oren, who was good at almost everything except fishing. Robert asked why Oren went to war, and Joseph said Oren was bored with their town. Robert warned Joseph that Nathan wanted to punish him for being involved with his daughter. Joseph took his rifle and hid quietly in the hayloft. He noticed a wolf but decided to watch it instead of taking action. Nathan arrived with his wife and came inside to talk. Joseph offered them bourbon Catherine had given him, which Nathan said he'd been looking for. Nathan asked if Joseph would marry Catherine. Joseph said no, joking she was too good for him. He admitted it was his first time in such a relationship, and he couldn't stop himself. Nathan surprised Joseph by agreeing with him, saying even he didn't understand his daughter's mind and didn't fully blame Joseph. He saw Joseph as a good man who was hurt. Beverly then accused Joseph of using Catherine, but Nathan calmed her, ending the talk quickly. After they left, Catherine asked Joseph if he would marry her, believing he loved her. Joseph refused, saying they didn't fit and their relationship was unfair. Catherine kept pushing, but Joseph stayed firm. Finally, Catherine admitted she was only using him to escape town. Catherine kissed Joseph one last time and told him she had done something wrong. When Joseph saw his barn on fire, he rushed in to save the animals, finding only Bolo, the scared horse. He freed Bolo, but the horse ran near the flames in panic. Catherine chased after him. Later, Joseph found Catherine quietly grieving. When he asked why she started the fire, she said it was out of anger, thinking Joseph had failed to save Bolo. Joseph comforted her and offered to take her home. The next morning, Joseph decided to change his life. He used his savings to start fresh and went to make peace with Rosalie. He told her his affair with Catherine was a way to escape his dull life. But after his mother's death, he realized he loved Rosalie. Rosalie said she wanted to feel free and happy again. Joseph hugged and kissed her, and together they went to the beach, ready to live with passion and freedom.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.